I still feel a twinge when I think of the loss of my avocado green travel umbrella. That was more than 30 years ago, and though I've owned dozens of similar umbrellas since, that one was special. Besides, I wasn't the one who lost it. My family saw it as just an ordinary umbrella and didn't understand why I was so steamed when it was lost. I hardly understood it myself at the time. It wasn't as if we couldn't buy another umbrella, but this one had a unique, easy-to-use design, and frankly, I've never seen another like it. It had a two-piece collapsible handle that shortened or lengthened with a single press and thrust movement, and short, straight spokes that folded down simply when the umbrella was closed. I didn't have to wrestle with it, as I do with the travel umbrellas of today, with their automatic opening mechanisms and tangle of multi-in spokes. No, I could put it to use at a moment's notice, or easily pack it away. The umbrella was uncomplicated and straightforward, and its most important feature was that it was mine. We were living in Southern California at the time, and one morning I lent the umbrella to my 7-year-old stepson Jimmy to take to school. At the end of the day, Jimmy came home without the umbrella. I blew up. At the edges of my anger, I knew that Jimmy's failure to bring the umbrella home wasn't premeditated misbehavior. But in the middle of my outburst, I fixated on his forgetfulness and irresponsibility. What possessed him to be so careless with my personal belongings? It likely had something to do with his being 7 years old. But I wasn't able to think along those lines at that point. Unlike the umbrella, my life then was anything but uncomplicated and straightforward. For several years before the umbrella was lost, I'd been used to living an independent life and to thinking of my possessions as my own. With no experience of children whatsoever, I'd married a year earlier, instantly becoming a full-time stepmother. I had to give up quite a lot in exchange for what I hoped would be familial bliss, a job I loved, a city I loved, and all the friends I loved who lived there. I didn't expect that I'd have to sacrifice the few things I owned too, however mundane and inconsequential they might be. Maybe that's why I got so angry, or maybe it was because of a growing awareness that adapting to marriage and motherhood meant acquiring a new sense of self, one without me and my stuff at its center. And so, the loss of my umbrella felt like the last straw among all of my losses. It wasn't, of course. 3 decades and 2 more kids later, I can say that that loss was only the beginning of a long string of losses and sacrifices that dismantled my old sense of self bit by bit, forcing me to construct a new identity for the sake of my family. Along the way, I learned that family life has its own rewards. I don't really regret the loss of my old self now, but once in a while, the loss of my avocado green travel umbrella still gives me a twinge.